Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unfiltered and Unapologetic, the space where we heal in truth, in faith, and with softness, without abandoning who we are and where we come from. I'm Caitlin Gil-Soto, born and raised in Lawrence, Massachusetts, always traveling between Bani and El Cibao, proudly Dominican, and a master's in finance candidate, learning not only the language of money, but the language of the nervous system, cultural conditioning, and the emotional patterns we inherit without realizing it. Today, we're entering a conversation our community rarely touches. Not with depth, not with tenderness, and not with truth. Dominican men, silence, emotional shutdown, the freeze response. Not the coldness women complain about, but the survival pattern underneath it. Dominican men weren't raised to be emotionally unavailable. They were raised to protect themselves from emotional danger. They grew up hearing, los hombres no lloran, men don't cry, no seas tan sensible, don't be so sensitive, eso no es nada, sigue pa'lante, that's nothing, keep going. Their emotional world wasn't developed, it was restricted. And I want to make this clear. This episode is not about blaming men, it's about understanding them. And this is part one. Next week, in part two, we're talking about Dominican women, the emotional caretakers, the fixers, the overfunctioners, the one who felt everything while the men were taught to feel nothing. But today, we start with the silence. Let's begin. Most people know fight or flight, but the third trauma response, freeze, is the one most commonly seen in Dominican men. Freeze looks like going quiet, zoning out, disconnecting in conflict, withdrawing emotionally, feeling deeply but saying nothing. And here's the truth. Freeze is not rejection. It's overwhelm. Freeze is not lack of interest. It's dysregulation. A frozen nervous system isn't cold. It's flooded. Dominican boys were taught to stop emotion, not process it. To swallow emotion, not name it. To push through emotion, not understand it. I have the first journal prompt here for you guys. When have I misinterpreted someone's shutdown as rejection instead of overwhelm? And the affirmation for this question is, silence is not absence. It is a wound that has not been taught to speak. Now let's talk about machismo. Beyond the stereotype, beyond what people assume. Machismo as emotional armor. Machismo was born because generations of men were punished for being soft. So, strength became survival. Silence became safety. Machismo told boys, don't cry, don't break, don't need comfort, don't speak your fears, don't show vulnerability. They were conditioned to perform stability, not experience it. Most of us never saw a man apologize, self-reflect, share fear, ask for help, communicate emotional needs. Instead, we saw coping, drinking, cheating, shutting down, disappearing, or overworking. Not from lack of love, but from lack of emotional access. I have another journal prompt here for you guys. What did the men in my family teach me about masculinity? And the affirmation for this question is, I release the belief that emotional silence is strength. Dominican men feel intensely. They just never learned the emotional language to express intensity safely. So they translate emotions into the only form they were taught. Sadness would be irritability. Fear would be frustration. Hurt would be avoidance. Overwhelm would be silence. This isn't emotional absence, it's emotional starvation. Nobody asked them, what scares you? What hurt you? What are you carrying? What do you need? Because they grew up hearing, sé fuerte, be strong, no llores, don't cry. Eso no es para los hombres. That's not for men. Silence became their emotional blueprint. I have another journal prompt here for you guys. Which men in my life were emotionally starved? And the affirmation for this question is, anger is unprocessed emotion seeking release. In romantic relationships, freeze can look like shutting down when emotions rise, avoiding serious conversations, retreating after conflict, wanting closeness but not knowing how to show it, caring deeply but expressing poorly. Women interpret this as, he doesn't love me, he doesn't try, and he doesn't want this. But freeze is rarely ever rejection. It's a protective pause. Dominican women often grow up to overfunction emotionally. Dominican men often grow up to underfunction emotionally. Anxious and avoidant. Overgiver and withdrawer. Highly aware and muted. Not because either is broken, but because both were shaped by emotional environments that didn't match. I have another journal prompt here for you guys. Am I expecting emotional fluency from someone who was never taught emotional language? And the affirmation for this question is, I can love deeply without abandoning my emotional needs. Before we move into healing, we need to talk about a freeze response nobody names. Financial freeze. The same emotional shutdown Dominican men experience in relationships shows up in their relationship with money. Financial freeze looks like shutting down when money issues come up, avoiding budgeting, hiding financial stress, feeling ashamed of not knowing enough, defensiveness around money conversations, withdrawing because they feel inadequate. This isn't irresponsibility, it's financial survival mode. Dominican men were taught that providing equals worth. So anything that threatens that image triggers shame, fear, and silence. But vulnerability is not weakness. Financial transparency is not disrespect. Money conversations are not attacks. They are invitations to partnership. I have another journal prompt here for you guys. How did the men in my family navigate money? And how is that affecting my relationships now? And the affirmation for this question is, money conversations are safe. Vulnerability is allowed here. Dominican men need emotional vocabulary, safety to feel, partners who regulate, not pressure, slow processing time, vulnerability without shame, permission to unlearn survival, community that doesn't mock softness. They aren't unreachable, they are unpracticed. They aren't cold, they are protecting themselves. They aren't distant, they are overwhelmed. Next week, we talk about Dominican women, the emotional caretakers who were taught to feel everything, while men were taught to feel nothing. And then I have the last journal prompt here for you guys. What new emotional pattern am I ready to model in my relationships? And the affirmation for this question is, I am rewriting the emotional legacy I grew up with. Now we're going to do the final prayer. Put your hand on your chest and take a deep breath. Dear God, thank you for revealing the wounds we inherited and the patterns we are finally ready to release. Soften the hearts of our men. Give them the courage to feel without shame and speak without fear. Heal the financial silence in our homes. Teach our men that their worth is not measured by how much they carry, but by who they are. Give our families wisdom to build, budget, and grow together, without fear, without pride, and without silence. Heal the women who overgave. Heal the men who shut down. Heal the children we once were, who only knew survival. May this generation be the one that learns another way. Truth, softness, stability, and emotional freedom. Amen. If this episode resonated, share it with someone who needs it. And don't forget, Finance Fridays drops every other Friday. We're healing money the same way we heal everything else on this podcast, with culture, nervous system awareness, and truth. If you want to support the show, you can now contribute monthly through Buzzsprout. The link is in the show notes. And if you're ready to go deeper in your healing journey, you can grab one of my blank journals on Amazon, whether you're grading through grief, boundaries, emotional literacy, or self-worth. There's one made for you. Make sure you're following the podcast and community on Instagram and TikTok at Unfil and Unapologetic Pod. Leave a review if you feel called. And I'll see you on the next episode. Rest is allowed, softness is allowed, and emotional healing is safe here.